Hello, my friends. It is time to make our own bread. And you might think, why would you make your own bread when you can easily buy it? And that's true. But you're also buying all the crazy ingredients that they put in the bread that your body does not like to digest. So this is so simple, you have no reason not to make it. It literally takes a few minutes to mix it, the rest is done by time. So here we go. 1 3/4 cup of warm water. Just feel your wrist, show about that temperature. 1 tablespoon of yeast. That's instant dry yeast. Just let that go. We're gonna add 2 cups of unbleached, unbromelated flour on top of that. Just like that, sprinkle it across the top. Then we're gonna add 1 almost full tablespoon of kosher salt. You can use really any salt you have. I like kosher because it's nice and clean, or you can use sea salt. And then 1 tablespoon of a really good fruity olive oil. I really like Greek olive oil. Just gonna sprinkle that around the side. Now, I like to layer in that method because you don't want your salt to touch your yeast directly, because it starts to inhibit the amount of the yeast is working. Yeast is alive, it's a live culture, so you want it to be able to grow, and the salt impedes that. Okay, this is where we start. We're gonna start right here with our clean hands, and we're gonna go circle, 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 circle around, and it's gonna make a nice wet paste. See, just that fast. Okay, then from there, we're gonna add another 2 cups of flour. And why do I do it in those steps? So that it's easy to mix. Okay, and then we put it in there, and it also gives the yeast a chance to absorb. And then we're mixing, and we're mixing, and we're mixing. You just circle around the bowl, adding that flour a little bit at a time. Just add it in there. And you can give it a good squeeze every now and again. And before you know it, in less than a minute, it'll start to form a ball. You don't even need a bread mixer. You just don't even need a mixer. You just need your hands. Just go around and around, let it pick up. You can fold it over a little bit and keep going. At this point, when it starts to form a ball, you mash it down with your fist. Mash and mash and mash, mash it down. Fold half of it on the other side, mash it down. Turn your bowl a quarter turn, fold it over, mash it down. Quarter turn, fold it over. Look, you're even getting a bicep workout while you're doing this. You're welcome. Mash it down. Turn it over, mash it down. I always keep one hand clean in case I need to add ingredients, answer my phone, or do anything else. Mash it down. Look, now you have a nice ball to work with. Move the bowl out of the way. Push it down, pull it in. Push it down, pull it in. This is gonna just take a second. Push, fold it over towards yourself, push it away. Fold it over towards yourself, push it away. Towards yourself, push it away. Yourself, push it away one more time, push it away. And you should have a nice smooth ball, okay? I'm gonna put it back in this bowl. I'm gonna cover it with saran wrap, or you can cover it with a bag. Let it rest till it's about double in size, and we're gonna push it down one more time and let it rest again. And then I'll come back, I'll show you, and we're gonna form it and bake it, and it is fantastic. So you have no reason not to make this. I'll show you next. Alrighty, I went away and I came back, and the dough is looking lovely. As you can see, it's well risen, got much more volume. It more than doubled in size because I was gone about an hour and a half. So it's ready to go. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna turn it out onto the surface. So I just pull it out of the bowl, just like that. Again, with my nice clean hands. And I'm gonna divide this up into 2. It makes 2 loaves. I'm gonna tilt this down a little bit so you can see me a little better. There we go. And with this first loaf, I'm just gonna make a nice long, skinny little loaf, similar to a baguette. I just roll it together. And you don't have to be perfect, it's for you. Seam goes down. I've got my handy little tray with my non-stick there. And I'm gonna dust it with a little bit of flour. Sprinkle it on there, and we'll put our loaf on there. But let's say I wanted to be a little fancier. By the way, this is called a bench knife. You can scrape with it and you can cut with it. So if we wanted to be a tiny bit fancier, just a little bit of flour there. You make this into a square or something we can divide evenly with. And we're going to divide this into 3. And you want to get them about the same size. Stretch it out. Stretch it out. And if you have good dough development where it's risen enough, it should be nice and stretchy. This should be easy. We're just gonna braid these 3 pieces together. So just like you would braid hair, it goes left over the center, right over the center. And you just alternate over the center, over the center, over the center, over the center. From there, we're just gonna give it a good roll and we're fully braided. There we go. You don't have to do that, but it's nice to have a little fancy sometimes. I'm gonna hit this one with some seeds here. Let's see what kind of seeds I can find. Let's see, this is a bagel crunch, and sometimes I like that and sometimes I don't. So I'm looking for sesame seeds, but I don't see them, so I guess we'll go with this one. We're just going to roll that on there. So just roll it in, the seeds. Just roll and roll and roll. If you like a lot of seeds, you can hit it with some water so that it sticks a little better, or some egg whites, liquid egg whites will make it stick a lot better. But I just want a little bit of flavor, so we're just gonna put a little bit on there, let it roll through it. And then of course I'll clean my counter afterwards. Now I've got them on the pan, and they'll need to rise again. So I'll show you what that looks like once they've risen. See you in a bit. All right, so the bread has been rising, and you'll see they're much puffier. So now, this one can remain the same. This one we're gonna need to make some slashes in so it doesn't explode on us, because that is the purpose of the slashes. So typically what I do is I have a razor blade, but since I don't have one, I'm just gonna use this nice serrated knife, and we're just gonna make some cuts along. So I'm gonna start at the top, and just cut sideways down. Start here, sideways down. Go right down the center. And you know, this loaf is for me. It doesn't have to be beautiful. I'm gonna give some side cuts to our braided loaf, just so that it doesn't explode. You won't really be able to see those cuts, but it will help that when it expands, it doesn't get those weird bubbly expansions. So I just know that from experience, but you're gonna have to trust me on this. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the oven, and I'm gonna show you something else too. It's gonna go in the middle of the oven at 400 degrees. From here, I've got a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes at the farmer's market yesterday. They were so beautiful. Look how pretty these are. They're so pretty, all the little different jewel tones. I've got 2 cloves of smashed garlic with the skins on. I'm actually allergic to the garlic itself, but the flavoring of garlic is just fine. It's bizarre. And then I've got some good extra virgin olive oil. I'm just gonna drizzle over the top. And I'm gonna grab some kosher salt. Give it some good salt. And then I picked some basil from my garden, so I'm just gonna sprinkle that over the top. I love basil, so I put a lot in. And I've got some fresh parsley, because that just gives it a nice little fresh zing. And a little bit more of that basil. And then I've got some rosemary, which I'm gonna just strip off. Whoop. I'm gonna strip that off and get that in there. And a little chunky is okay. At the end, what's gonna happen is it's gonna cook down, and it's gonna make this wonderful sauce that we're gonna just puree, and then we can dip the bread in because it's so good. And a little bit goes a long way. You just need 1 slice of that bread. And I'll tell you, what I do is I slice it up and I freeze it. Because if I don't, I will eat the whole loaf myself, and that kind of defeats the purpose of having it as a treat. Okay, so we've got our oregano in there, and I've got my thyme in there, and my basil, all my good summer herbs. And I'm just gonna stir that up a little bit. Stir it up, stir it up, stir it up. And a little bit of spice. So this just has a little bit of the dried herbs and some crushed red pepper, because I like it a tiny bit spicy. All right, that's going in the oven with the bread. So when the bread is done, the tomatoes will be done, and then we'll puree it all. And it's a wonderful side with a little salad. It's delicious. Okay, and it goes. So that's on the top, and it's in a cast iron pan, so it'll be just fine in there, and it'll cook along with the bread. Bread takes about 20 minutes. I'll be back. I'll show you what it looks like. All right, our bread is done. you can see this is how our long loaf turned out. This is how our braided loaf turned out. They're a little bit light. Normally I like them a little bit dark, but you know, I had them in the second shelf and I forgot to move them up. So normally they would be a bit more on the caramel color. I'll show you one that I did yesterday so you can compare. So it should be more a little bit on the darker side. It doesn't matter, it'll still be delicious. You know, it's just for me. So, and I'm certainly not gonna eat all of it tonight, but I will give it a taste. All right, and this is how our tomatoes turned out. I will show you. The pot is so hot, but they're nice and mushy. They just about burst. All of them burst open. I'm gonna take out that garlic because as I said, I cannot have it, but I want that flavor. So that will give me the flavor. And I'm gonna pour it in the Vitamix. And then we'll get it pureed. I'll put it back in there. I'll cut off a piece of that bread, dip it in the sauce, and be good to go. All right, let me get this started here to be loud for a second. And that's all it takes. Good. And then it can be nice and rustic. It doesn't have to be super, super duper pureed. I like it kind of chunky. So I still get bits of the herbs in there. And I'm gonna take this hot bread, break off a piece. You should be able to hear that nice crustiness. Give it a little dunk. It's super, super hot though, so. But it's really great. It's delicious. And you know every component of what you're eating. You know everything that went in there. So, please tell me you're gonna do this, okay? If nothing else, make the sauce. Put it over some veggie pasta, it's delicious. You can have it with some chicken. It's good on anything. All right, my loves, have a great day. Happy baking, happy cooking. Fuel, move, hydrate, stay healthy. Love ya, bye.